Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, the radio show all about traveling like a boss by being your own boss. Stay tuned for weekly interviews featuring guests that have built their own online businesses. If you would like to have access to our entire back catalog, visit travellikeabosspodcast.com for instant access. And here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey guys, it's Johnny and welcome to episode 130 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'm back in Chiang Mai and here with Freddie Trimble.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Yeah.
So where are you from?
I'm from London. Yeah.
We can hear that in your accent. Nice.
Yeah.
And what brings you to Chiang Mai?
So long story really. I mean, I heard about your podcast about a year and a half ago now, actually.
Okay.
And that was after quitting my job in London. I was working for a PPC agency.
Okay. So if you guys don't know, PPC is pay-per-click agency. I'm assuming with like Google AdWords.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Primarily with AdWords.
And what were you doing with them?
So I was working for this agency who run campaigns for multiple clients, ranging from small clients up to clients that were spending about $500,000 in ad spend.
But
yeah.
you weren't getting that $500,000, right?
Oh, no. Not yet.
Okay. So what was your actual role of the business?
So I went in as an account executive, so sort of, entry level. Sort of just learned PPC from the ground up. Which was really good. They were sort of really high level with their PPC, and I learned really quickly. So
okay, cool. So the job itself wasn't paying you a ton of money, but you got some good skills that you can use for other things.
Yeah, that was sort of my vision at the time. I mean, it was an entry level pay of $20,000 a year.
$20,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
that's not bad then.
I mean, that's still not that much. And living in London is still a bit of a struggle. Lucky enough, I was living at home. So
okay, good. So do you know what your living expenses were living at home, and what would they have been if you had to live on your own?
Well, it was super low. Luckily my mum, I was living with my mum, and yeah, she wasn't expecting any rent at that time. So I was just money on eating, food, going out. So it wasn't much at all. But yeah, if I were to have my own place, it would be probably even looking at just renting a room in a shared house. I'll be looking at £600 a month. Quite a nasty place.
Yeah.
So
okay.
yeah,
makes sense.
And then after tax, I was probably only bringing in about $1,200 a month. So if I were
So it was a good scenario for you to live at home, get the experience.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. And then, so you started listening to the podcast, and then what happened?
Yeah, well, actually, around that time, I read the 4-Hour Work Week, as you do, and yeah, I just started getting inspired about doing my own thing. I've kind of always wanted my own thing. I've never been one to sort of be a cog in a wheel.
Did you find the podcast before the 4-Hour Work Week?
It was after. So,
I think that's normally what happens.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. So yeah, I read the 4-Hour Work Week, and I was just started thinking about what I could possibly do. Learning to see a skill to monetize, go at it alone. And then it actually got to like 6 months or so working in this job, and got to the point where I'd pretty much learned the whole sort of process. I got pretty good at it. Then I just kind of ended up same things every day. Yeah, my enjoyment.
I think that's super smart, because I think there's a lot we can learn from working at a corporation or another job, and we can even really enjoy it for the first year or so. But I think as soon as we start dreading it, or we start kind of just going through the motions, that's when we should get out.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it was literally like one morning I woke up and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It was just literally like that kind of light bulb moment. And I was just like, yeah, it's time to get out now whilst I can, before I get sort of too, deep into this company and in my role and stuff. So yeah, I just made that split decision to quit there and then. I've kind of always been like that. I've been kind of like,
I like that. Okay, so you made the decision, and then what?
I quit that job with the vision of going freelance in PPC, and I had heard about Upwork. I was kind of browsing on there, seeing if there's any gigs going, and I found a few. So that was my kind of like vision, was to just quit and then start building up a profile on Upwork. And yeah, that's exactly what I did. As I said, I was living at home. I was just grinding it out. Got a few sort of low level clients. I was pretty much working for free just so I could get my build up my profile. And yeah, from there it started scaling up really quickly. I could increase my rates, and within probably 2 months I'd replaced my salary. So
congrats, man. Yeah, that's cool. So what were your rates when you started, and what were they kind of at the top?
I started at literally like $5-6 an hour. It was literally just so I could get feedback. And I was kind of just going above and beyond what people expected, so I could get that good feedback. And then I think I increased it to like 10, and then like 12, 15, and I got up to like $25 an hour.
And this is pounds or dollars?
It's dollars, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So, and yeah, that pretty much replaced my income. And yeah.
Very cool. So are you still freelancing now?
I'm doing a bit now, sort of on the side. I was doing that solidly for about a year, just over a year. And then I was introduced to your podcast through another guy that I'd met on Upwork. I wanted to like network with other people who are doing PPC management on Upwork. And I got chatting to him, and he was more into sort of like, digital nomad lifestyle, which I wasn't, hadn't really been exposed to much yet, apart from the...
Wait, how do you meet people on Upwork?
So I just went on, like, you can search for other freelancers, and I was just looking for like sort of top PPC freelancers, and then it usually has a second name, so I just went on Facebook, added him.
That's crazy, because I mean, first off, I never heard of that, because technically that guy's your competition, right?
Technically, yeah, but I guess like it could be mutually beneficial to sort of share ideas and strategies for getting new clients. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but I like that mindset of thinking of abundance mindset, thinking more of how can we help each other, how can we collaborate, or how can we both earn more money than I'm taking a part of your pie.
Yeah, and I generally feel the people who are freelancing aren't so cutthroat, and it's, I don't know, I think generally people are more sort of have that abundance mindset. So
I like it. Well, at least the people you surround yourself with, right? Because I'm willing to bet there's a lot of people out there that will be like, there's no way I would befriend my competition, even if it's through Upwork or freelancing. Yeah. Well, yeah, so basically I reached out to this guy who was really cool. We just got chatting. It was more so about sort of like the lifestyle of freelancing and being digital nomad, which I was really interested in. What was that guy's name?
I think his name was Ted. I can't remember his second name.
Was he living abroad, or like where was he from?
He was from Australia, and he was I think he was in Thailand at the time. Yeah. So yeah, I was just asking him. He'd been doing it for 2 or 3 years, traveling around. So that just gave me that sort of inspiration to do the same.
Okay, cool. So shout out to him.
Yeah. And then he was listening to your podcast at the time, and he just sent over a link, and I was already at that time listening to loads of podcasts like Tropical MBA, Tim Ferriss's podcast. So I was like working at home alone, so like it's kind of what got me through the day. So he recommended me yours. I started listening to that, and instantly I just loved the vibe of it. Just loved how you focused on not only the business but the whole lifestyle around traveling and stuff. So and then since then I was just listening to it on a weekly basis.
That's cool, actually. So shout out to Dan and Ian from Tropical MBA. I listened to them a lot when I first started, because it was the same thing. I was kind of just working on my own, especially when I was back in the US. I was already in Thailand, but even then there was no nomad community around. So they were pretty much the only ones that had a podcast kind of about it. And the only problem was, and a lot of people mention this now too, is they became like real businessmen.
Yeah.
And they kind of stopped doing the digital nomad, lifestyle as much. They stopped traveling as much, and they were, diving kind of a bit deep. And it was too deep for me. It was just too advanced.
Yeah.
So I think when I started my podcast, it was definitely influenced by them, but it was kind of more like, okay, let me start at like the low level where you're just starting out. Because at that time I was like barely making money too.
Yeah.
And I was just more focusing on like traveling cheaply and kind of networking many people too.
Yeah. I think when I found them, that podcast, they were quite advanced as well. So what I did is I could download like their archive, which is like a previous 250 episodes, and listening to it from the beginning was definitely beneficial.
Okay, cool. So you started listening to my podcast, and then what happened?
I was just listening to that on a weekly basis whilst I was still doing PPC. That was kind of my sole focus, and that must have gone on for maybe like up until the end of 2015 or so.
So you're living at home, working out of your mom's house.
Yeah.
Doing PPC on Upwork.
Yeah. So and then my next sort of goal was to get out of England. That was like always my goal since I graduated, really. I studied economics at university up in Sheffield in the north of England. Most people go, their first step is to go to London and just keep working your way up. My perspective was just to go to London and work my way up a bit, just to get that bit of experience, so I could then go somewhere else. I got to a stage where the PPC was bringing me decent monthly income. And then I actually moved out to Canada with my ex-girlfriend now. We moved out to Montreal as we both saw it as like cool place to go, and the visas were quite easy to get. So yeah,
that's a bit random, right? So
it is very random.
I started listening to these podcasts about living in Thailand.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I think I had to sort of balance it with, like, my ex-girlfriend and I were kind of, we both wanted to, you know, go move somewhere else together. So I kind of had to find a happy medium, because, you know, she wasn't working online. She was just graduating that summer of 2015. So yeah, we sort of settled on that, and yeah, moved over there.
So how was it in Quebec?
It was good. I really enjoyed it, actually. It's a cool culture. It's quite a lot of, like, it's very creative, quite young, quite a few entrepreneurs. Apart from the winter, though, the winter was pretty dull. Yeah.
So even colder than England?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like -27 it was one day. Yeah, that wasn't fun. But it actually turned out pretty good, because, you know, what I got into next actually worked out beneficial, because I kind of just had to grind out work.
Okay, so what was next then?
So next was Kindle Publishing. So I listened to your episode with Adrian Ingram. I can't remember what month that came out now, but I listened to that. And yeah, I thought it was really cool. I liked the sound of it, because I was as I'd kind of got to a level where PPC was bringing me enough money, I was looking to start something else on the side, you know, just to sort of diversify a bit. And yeah, I love the sound of it. And actually, when I listened to it, I didn't actually I didn't think to sort of actually take action on it at the time. I was kind of umming and ahhing, and I thought I was kind of still in that sort of scarcity mindset a bit, where I thought there might be, you know, too much competition, or, you know, it's not really feasible anymore. And then I think it was maybe a month or two later, I was on I'd already joined some, like, Chiang Mai Digital Nomad groups, just to, you know, see what was going on. And Adrian had posted a short ebook that he'd written, which was about how you can sort of go through the whole process yourself. So I saw that, and it was like, he'd posted it up for like 99 cents. So I was just like, bought that, read through it in, you know, an hour or so. And I just had this sort of like another light bulb moment, and I was just like, I'm doing it. Like, this is perfect for me.
I like it. So I just looked it up. That was episode 84 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'll make sure we have a link to it in the show notes, so you guys can hear it for yourself. And you're not the first person who I've met, or actually has even been on the show, that has heard that episode and was like, I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So how was your success with that?
So it's been really good. I think I started properly in February of this year. And I went through a course, which was recommended by Adrian, which was on the podcast, K-Money Mastery, which was actually really good. It takes you through the whole process. So yeah, I published my first book, I think, very beginning of February. And I think I did my keyword research really well, which is the most important, you know, stage in the whole process. And I think that book did $150 in profit the first month, which I was really stoked about, you know, because...
Yeah, that's awesome. So how much, like, did you actually put into it? How much money, how much capital did it take to publish that one book?
Okay, so I do it a bit differently from a lot of people, because I've actually been writing them myself, researching and writing them myself. A lot of people outsource, you know, and, you know, you can find sort of ghostwriters for $150 to $200. But I've always been quite into writing and researching. So I just thought, you know, why not just do the first one myself, see how it goes. It's kind of just, you know, thing on the side I was doing. It's quite funny. I was going to, like, the local library to get, like, you know, research books out and stuff. So yeah, kind of like being back at uni a bit, but but yeah, it was worth it. And
how long did it take you to write that whole book and publish it?
It was quite a short one. It was about 8,000 words. It probably took 2 weeks. I was kind of spending a few hours.
How many pages is that? Is it 8,000?
It's probably about 60 pages or so.
Okay, so like a pretty short ebook. And the cover, did you make that yourself, or did you outsource that?
I actually did it all myself. I'm kind of like into design and stuff. I used to be really into photography, so I've got quite a lot of experience in Photoshop and stuff. So I actually just did it myself, and it looked pretty good. And yeah, that made, I think, 150 in the first month. And then halfway through February, my girlfriend at the time started getting really interested in it as well. She was working at just like in a retail store in Montreal, well, actually in like a retail office, and yeah, she wasn't too keen on that. So she saw that I was doing pretty well with this first book, and she volunteered to help me out with it. And she was really good at, you know, researching and writing. So she went and did the second book while I was sort of handling the marketing, you know, promotion side of things. And yeah, I think she smashed out two or three books over the next month, and I think I did another one as well. So I think by the second month we had 4 or 5 books, which was which was great. And when you've got to go through this whole sort of promotion process.
I think for some people who are listening right now, if you guys haven't listened to episode 84, you might be thinking, how in the world will someone publish 4 books or 5 books in 2 months?
Yeah.
But Adrian, kind of shares the whole story on what it takes, exactly what the steps are. And after you kind of go through it, you're like, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. It's very modular. You can break it down into set steps, and just sort of did one and then sort of rinse and repeat for different niches, different keywords, and then by the end of the second month, we had done, I think, around $750 profit, and the great thing is, as we were writing them ourselves, most of it was profit.
Yeah, not only is it profit, it's reoccurring passive income,
exactly,
which is my favorite.
I mean, that was always my dream, like I was, doing PPC freelancing was great, but, it's a lot of legwork and it's still trading your time for money, I mean, it's still great, you can travel and work, but the ultimate,
I think this is the next step. I actually recommend to a lot of people to start with freelancing because it's a little bit more straightforward. You are trading time for money, but it's very easy to wrap your head around. Like, I have a skill, I'm going to do some work for you. You can give me some money, I can do it from anywhere. I can make my move to Thailand or to Quebec, and then the next step, I really believe, and this is my favorite type of income, is that passive income.
Yeah, so that was amazing. I couldn't really believe it. Trying to wrap my head around it. And then once we did, I think we got to that after that second month. I was convinced that I could just keep scaling this. And I kind of convinced my girlfriend to quit her job. Because I just knew it was the right thing to do. If we both went at it really hard, we could scale it, really fast, really quickly. So she quit her job, and we just set some ambitious goals, and we just kept scaling it up. I think the third month we tripled our profit. We did like over 2K. So that was almost, replacing her income, because the incomes in Montreal aren't particularly high. A month after that, I think we doubled it. We did like 4K, and then 5K, and then I think by June we got up to 6K.
Dude, congratulations, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, so we were just really stoked, and we just kept hammering away new books.
And were you still writing them yourselves, or did you start outsourcing them?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we were really conscious of is making really high quality books and long books. And I'd actually reached out to Adrian before I started the whole process, and he was really kind and gave me some advice, and he was saying focus on quality over quantity, and I really took that I bear that in mind, and that's what we did. So
yeah, I like that. I think back in the day, I would say a few years ago, you can pretty much just put out anything.
Exactly.
And because there's no one else writing books about it, it was easier to game the system, get reviews. Yeah. That didn't really matter. But with Amazon now, whether you're doing FBA and you're private labeling your product, or you're doing Kindle Publishing, you have to have good quality.
Yeah, for sure. You've got to have, something that differentiates. You're putting out a product there, essentially, even if it's a book, you've got to differentiate. So that's what we did. Yeah, we sort of, we looked for profitable markets, and then we just... A lot of the keywords we found were books that had been outsourced, so we could, straight away beat those for quality, and we found that to be really effective. Yeah.
See, if those people were smart, what they would have done is they would have tested the market by outsourcing it, throwing it up there, and as soon as money started coming in and it's been proven, and they knew, hey, this is something that people are really buying, they're spending money on, let me reinvest some of that time or money into either outsourcing a better writer, or if they wanted to be writing it themselves.
Yeah.
And just, they can keep the reviews, they can keep the ranking, they can keep the, they can basically keep everything, and they can just update the actual content. So the next person who buys it, they're like, wow, this is a great book.
Yeah.
I'm really going to leave a good review for it.
Yeah. So ultimately you want to get your books to a position where they're getting organic reviews, and you don't have to, worry about trying to, do review swaps, any stuff like that. But actually where most of the profits come from now are paperback. The margins are much higher. Think about 75% of the profits are from paperback. Yeah. So Amazon have a platform called CreateSpace where they can print your books on demand. So customer will order it, and then at the time of the order they'll just print it and send it straight out to them. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I think I have both my books, Life Changes Quick and Topics in Thailand, with CreateSpace option. And I haven't really looked into it, but I'm sure. I definitely know people have bought it because people have sent me photos holding the paperback.
Yeah.
But I kind of just like the idea of people physically getting a paperback book.
For sure. I mean, I haven't actually held any of my our books physically. But
I think it'd be cool just to have one copy of it, just to
perhaps
to really, because then it becomes real.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But really it was paperback that, really made this grow quickly.
Have you tried the audiobook route?
Yeah, so that's kind of something I've been expanding into over the last 2 or 3 months. It's really good because you can sort of diversify. So you start with Kindle, and I kind of see Kindle as sort of like the platform that you use to promote your book and get reviews. And the great thing is when you transfer your books over onto CreateSpace as well, you keep all your reviews. It's on the same product page, and then you can diversify into audiobooks, which is on audible.com, and there's a platform called ACX which you can publish on, and it's actually free to do, because what I've been doing is you can upload your manuscript and there'll be voice artists that will record your book, and then you'll do a royalty share on any profits, because the thing is with ACX, it's a bit more difficult to gauge profitability before you get into the market, so it sort of mitigates your risk.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because then you're really outsourcing it, where you're not the one reading the book. You're having a professional voice actor or actress read it for you, and you're not even paying them up front.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I mean, it's no extra work. You just upload it and you're just an extra stream of income. And I think now it's not much, but I think it's doing about 500 profit a month, which is just pure passive.
That's pure passive profit that you didn't have to do. All you really did was upload it and have someone else do the work.
Literally, yeah. It's crazy, yeah.
So I think there's so many takeaways from this. Just like even kind of starting from the beginning, instead of continuing to work at a job that you weren't really getting more out of, you said, hey, I've learned everything I can learn from my job. I'm not loving it anymore. Let me move on doing my own thing. Even if I had to trade time for money, you did that for a while. You built yourself up. With freelancing, got yourself enough of a nest egg to be able to move abroad, move somewhere cheaper, or a little bit cheaper, I guess.
Much cheaper, actually.
Was it much cheaper?
Yeah,
wow.
Sure. I mean, like I could have much cheaper, yeah, and like we could afford to have our own apartment there, which I would have struggled even just having my own room in London. So yeah,
nice. So you moved out, got to travel a bit, kind of expanded your horizons, started networking with other digital nomads, and then you found what resources they use. In this case, through this podcast, and then through the Kindle course, and then you did it. I think that's actually probably the most important thing to learn from this, is that you just went out and did it, and you didn't take any shortcuts. You weren't trying to, get rich overnight. You weren't trying to take the easy route. You actually, if anything, you did the hard route. You said, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it the best I can do. I'm not going to take any shortcuts. I'm going to do the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the long way, but I'm just going to get it done.
Yeah. I was definitely, looking at the long term, because, I kind of mapped out my ideal lifestyle, and
all right, so we actually just took a short break to move out to the living room. The AC repairman was here, and we've been in my bedroom this whole time. But Freddie was actually just saying how he's enjoying kind of reminiscing about this whole journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to sort of forget your sort of journey to an extent, and also think it's easy to get a bit complacent, and it's nice going back in my mind and sort of reliving the journey to an extent, just
and also kind of celebrating all those wins.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's only been just over 1.5 years since I quit my job, but it honestly seems like it could have been a decade. Like the amount of things I've done, the books I've read, the
books you've written,
and books I've written, so
that's cool, man.
I think it's just been a huge mindset change over since then, and I think reading's a huge one. I mean,
I'll cut off the top of your head, any books that stood out?
Okay, so as I said before, started with the 4-Hour Work Week, Rich Dad Poor Dad, so big one, really really great book. Millionaire Fastlane, that's a really great book. That really sort of shook me up a lot.
What's crazy about Millionaire Fastlane is, so I listened to the audiobook and I was thinking man, this guy's just repeating the same thing over and over. But what I realized is he's just trying to drill it in your head.
Yeah, it's like do you know Jim Rohn? Yeah. So he used to repeat his stuff at every single seminar, and it was people ask him, why do you just keep repeating it? It's just repetition is king, until you can actually, you've just got to keep repeating until you actually apply it,
So if you guys haven't read the book, it's really helpful for, I would say, people that have the spending mindset. It basically me when I was in college, always wanting to buy the new fast car and then to fix it up and then to buy new clothes and just going out to the clubs and just spending money on a bar, thinking those things would make me happy, but also those things would make me successful.
Yeah, for sure.
When it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, definitely.
And I actually just watched this little animation someone made about Rich Dad Poor Dad, just randomly on YouTube. But it was a good kind of reminder of rich people buy assets. So poor people, I don't know what they buy, but I think it was like middle class people buy liabilities that they think are assets. So I think what it was is that like the poor mentality of poor people, they buy straight up liabilities. You know,
for sure.
They put things on their credit card that they can't afford.
Monthly payments, even small things like Netflix and all these monthly,
if they can't afford it, and like, or they'll do like they'll go to Rent-A-Wheel and get like rims on credit, or even furniture on credit, and you're like, man, what are you doing? If you can't afford it, just don't buy it. And I've been to people's houses or apartments where I know they're broke because I know they're in debt, and then I go to their new apartment or their new house that they just bought that they can't afford, they can barely afford that, and it's decorated like an Ethan Allen magazine. And I think, man, like, I understand, I can kind of understand why you wanted to buy the house, like I personally don't want to buy a house, especially if I'm broke, but go ahead, buy it, but then bootstrap it, sleep on a mattress on the floor for the first 6 months or a year until you can afford to furnish it. Like, you don't need to go have everything be perfect like that those first 3 months you get in.
I guess people are always seeking that instant gratification, and instead of living below your means in the short term, so you can
And I almost feel like a lot of it's just kind of a show for other people, where they want to have their housewarming party, but so they want everything looking great and perfect before you show up, right? Before they show it to anyone. Like, I don't think anyone wants to invite you over to their house and they have plastic cups, and they don't have they don't have like paintings on the wall or whatever it is. I think for me it'd be more impressive if someone had, let's say, their house and they had are the basics. They had maybe a couch and like a dining table or something, and then that's it. Like, really, like, you don't need all the other stuff. You don't need like like an armoire with china and stuff.
I mean, but it's just a mindset shift. I guess I used to be more like that when I was a bit younger. Sort of like my teenage years. You're always looking for the next sort of
But I think a lot of that's to feel fulfilled, where if I had an empty apartment and there was space, there was empty space in my apartment, I felt like I could not be happy or cannot be satisfied until that space was filled. And I'll do whatever it takes, whether it's putting it on my credit card or buying it even though I should be spending that money on something else. I would go out and get it thinking, okay, once I have that, then I'll be happy.
And then it just keeps going higher and higher. You just want the next thing, and it's never ending. It's a cycle.
And then you end up with so much stuff, then you have all these liabilities that you can't get rid of, they're holding you back, then you definitely can't travel.
It's a bit of a trap. So the Rich Dad Poor Dad was definitely a great one. And then more on the sort of personal development realm, Tony Robbins has definitely been influenced me a lot. I've read.
Have you seen his new documentary? I'm Not Your Guru.
It's amazing.
Every single person right now should put that on your list. It's on Netflix.
So you can.
So if you have a subscription, if you can afford Netflix, you should have it. If you shouldn't be spending that $10 a month, if you should be spending that money on something else, then don't have it. You go to a friend's house and watch it. Or
you could be cheeky and torrent it, I guess.
But I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I think a lot of people just assume like, oh, I need this. I need it. There's no other way. Like, there's so many other ways.
For sure.
I like it. But I want to real quickly talk about buying assets, because it wasn't until I watched this silly video almost that kind of like it didn't teach me anything new. Right? I think that was the biggest complaint people had in the comment section. They're like, oh, this is all rehashed. This is all stuff, Rich Dad Poor Dad taught. Right? But I think and it wasn't even good animation. It was like this terrible like stick figure just talking with like this, inputted text. But what it reminded me of is that the wealthy are buying assets. And I realized that for at least the last couple of months, especially I've been doing the other podcast, Invest Like a Boss. Every month I get excited about buying a new asset. And by asset, I mean something that pays either dividends or pays interest back or like somehow pays me money.
Or even at the low end, you can create assets, and that's what I saw, Kindle Publishing as,
definitely. And or even buying books. Is buying an asset.
For sure. The ROI you get on, say buying Rich Dad Poor Dad is just exponential, I mean, like there's certain books that can, a few books I've read that I'd say have, just changed my whole mindset and to an extent, changed my life. So Tony Robbins, I read a lot of his stuff, went through most of his audio programs. Also a lot of philosophical stuff, like Stoicism, or ancient philosophy. I found that really grounding, just for sort of my mindset and stuff.
So actually, I wanted to ask, how come I don't meet that many English people who come out and do this lifestyle?
It's a good question. I don't know if I can give you a definitive answer on that, but I would say it's a mindset. I would say sort of the American mindset is naturally a bit more entrepreneurial. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but
I definitely think it is for more people. There's definitely lots of fear as well. I don't know if it's more or less than anywhere else, but people, we do kind of have that entrepreneurial spirit. The number one watched television show in the US is Shark Tank.
Yeah, and I've been watching loads of Shark Tank, and the funny thing is actually there's the equivalent in the UK called Dragon's Den, and I watched that a couple of weeks ago, and it was just so bad compared to
Shark Tank is just a better show.
Yeah,
I think it has better entrepreneurs on it.
It's just
the people, like the people going to have better stories. It's always like this family that's struggling and they put their last penny to build this product in the garage or something, and it's and I can see why people like the show. I just hope that people actually go out and just do it. They don't just watch it as entertainment.
Yeah, it's about the only thing I watch. So,
And have you seen The Prophet?
Yeah, I have. I've seen it. Is that where he goes in and then he has to, restructure a business? And I saw a couple of episodes. It was pretty good.
I think I like Shark Tank for kind of kind of easy watching. I don't think about it too much. I kind of just enjoy it almost more. I learned stuff from it. But The Prophet with Marcus Leomas, I learned something from every single time. If anything, I learn how badly most businesses are run and how to prevent that for myself.
Yeah, sure.
I like it. So English people mindset.
Yeah, I'd say it's a difference in mindset. I don't know. I can really only speak from personal experience. Like, none of my friends in England are doing anything, remotely similar to me.
Do they know that you're making $7,000 a month now online?
A couple of them do, yeah.
And what do they say?
They can't really believe it, to be honest. I mean, obviously they do believe it, but it's just I'm kind of in kind of a different world. You should
send them a screenshot.
Yeah. And to be honest, I've actually distanced myself from quite a few of my old friends, just merely because of difference in sort of mindset, vision, goals. I do truly believe you're the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. So trying to incorporate that.
Yeah, I can see it being very different, especially being out here in Chiang Mai. One of the things I missed most about being here is just being surrounded by go-getters, optimistic people. I have at least taken that first step of saying, let me try this. Not everyone's successful, but everyone here is willing to give it a try.
Yeah, for sure. It's that mindset that everyone has, all sort of, no matter what level we're at, we're still all sort of, headed in the same direction.
So this last week was the first Nomad Coffee Club that I attended since I've been back. So I've been back now for, I think, 7 days, or less than 7 days, like 6 days or something.
Yeah.
And normally the meetups have about 40 people that show up because we have this really tiny room in a crowded coffee shop. And this time we said, you know what, let's finally expand to a bigger space. Peter Miller, who helps run the shop when I'm the club when I'm away, he found a great new space, and then we looked around, and turns out that right next door to our existing location, they just remodeled, and they have this huge space now that holds between 80 and 100 people. And we thought, great, we have all this room now. And we had our first talk, and it was packed again.
Yeah, it was rammed. Yeah, it was awesome. I think I came like a few minutes late, and it was already rammed in. I had to stand up. There wasn't any seats left.
Wow, I counted 80 chairs.
Yeah.
So we must have had 90 people in there.
Yeah,
close to 100
at least. Yeah, it was great, and the talk was really, really interesting. So definitely inspired me for next year traveling around Europe. So
so the talk was when I gave about finding the next nomad community in Europe, and I'll give you guys kind of the synopsis of it. I've talked about it a little bit in the last couple episodes, but basically I searched the world for the next nomad hotspot just in case we need an alternative to Chiang Mai for visa reasons or for anything else. And I'm going to choose either Portugal or Poland. And if you guys want to know more, I wrote about it on my blog, johnnyft.com, under my guide to Lisbon, and then also my guide to Warsaw. You guys can kind of decide for yourselves, but all the info's there.
Yeah, it's great. I'm definitely going to be checking out, a lot of those locations next year. So,
well, what I like about it is a few years ago, nobody in the community could not nobody, but most people could not afford to even go to Europe. It was just, it was outrageous to them.
Yeah, everyone, I guess everyone's just bootstrapping to the minimum, and
But it seems like now there's a lot of people who are making at least a couple grand a month.
Yeah,
and a ton of people who are making like $7,000 a month. That's a lot of money, man.
Yeah. Well, it's split. I've actually last month I don't think I got this far when I was going over earlier. Like last month we did 8.5K. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you still in a relationship?
No. So we're split up now, but we're still working on it together, which is great. And we split the profit. So yeah, last month we did 8.5. This month we're on track for 8. So yeah, it's about 4K profit each a month.
That's amazing. And that sounds like that was more than what you were making back home.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, yeah, like there are quite a few jobs I could have in London now that would pay that much, and that's not the only thing I'm doing. I'm also still doing a bit of PPC that brings in about 1,000 a month, and I'm also doing a bit of eBay dropshipping, which I also found about through your podcast. So I guess I'm like a perfect student of
nice.
Travel Like a Boss.
This is what I love. Like I love it when I can find good teachers that actually know what they're doing, and then interview them, kind of pick their brains about it, or find like students of it that have done well. And then I love it when people listen to the show from wherever they are, and they're like, all right, let me give it a shot, and then they actually do it.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm now convinced that every online business model works. Whether it's blogging, affiliate marketing, Kindle Publishing, Amazon FBA, whatever, it all works. You've just got to have the right mindset, and you've got to actually follow through with it, take all the required steps,
and also follow a solid plan.
Oh yeah, for sure, that definitely helps. I mean, the Kindle course I took was great. The David Vu eBay dropshipping course is amazing. And yeah, I just started that on the side just for an extra sort of cash flow, and on the side it almost pays for my lifestyle here, whilst I can save most of the other money profits I make, and I'm going to be looking to invest that in the next few.
That's cool. So how long have you been doing that, and what is that making now?
So I started it, I bought the course in May, and it's more sort of just for fun, really. I had a bit of spare time once I started to make more passive income from my publishing, and yeah, I think I just started off listing like 50 products, made a couple sales. Then I got up to like 100, 200. And yeah, I hadn't been focusing on it that much over the last couple months. But more recently, I've been up in the ante. I've outsourced a lot of it to the VA. And it's up to about £500 profit a month now. So
that's great. And that's completely passive for you?
Semi-passive. I mean, now that I've outsourced the product uploading to VA, it makes it so much easier. I mean, I'm still fulfilling orders, but I'm going to be outsourcing that within the next couple months, and then I'm just sort of finding products. And then
that's smart.
Yeah.
I think that's cool that you're doing both. I would not recommend someone to do both to start with.
Definitely not.
Pick one, go through with it, have it start making money, and then start something.
Definitely. I mean, that's a problem that even I suffered with, initially. It's like that shiny object syndrome. You've got to pick one thing and just, you've got to be laser focused, get that tunnel vision going, and just, focus on that one thing for sure.
I like it. So what is next for you? What are your plans here in Chiang Mai?
So I'm going to be staying here until at least December. I love it here so far. I mean, the community's great. We met, it's been 3 weeks and met countless people, and really friendly people, really, easy to get plugged in here. And yeah, I'm going to just keep sort of trying to automate my existing incomes as much as I can, and then I'm sort of looking more now into investing, some of the money I've got saved, probably into starting Amazon FBA, just because I'm quite familiar with, the Amazon platform already. I think I could do pretty well with that. So nice.
Was there a reason why you didn't go straight into FBA and you did these other two things first?
Purely startup, capital. I didn't really have much savings at all. And the great thing, obviously, about Kindle is it's apart from the course, it's essentially free to get into, unless even if you're outsourcing, it's only going to cost $150 to $200. And if you follow all the steps correctly, you can definitely recoup that investment very quickly. So
I like it. If anything, I think that even though publishing on Kindle is very different from private labeling or selling things on Amazon, it's the same company, same platform, same kind of review system.
Yeah,
I think you take a lot from Kindle Publishing and transferring it to
Definitely,
the FBA.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, just being able to identify markets that are already profitable, once you've identified them, seeing how you can add more value, by, tweaking a product or what have you.
And I guess even in a lesser extent with David's eBay course, you're still, looking for products, trying to figure out how to get it found and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, you're still using a ranking sort of techniques, using, keywords and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
I like it. So after December, we're going to go?
I'm going to go back for Christmas to London, but not for too long.
Okay.
I'm not really too keen. I mean, I kind of have to go back because I haven't seen my family for almost a year and a half. So I'm kind of obligated to do that for a bit, but most likely I'll come back here.
Come back to Chiang Mai, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just perfect. It's everything you need here to, just grow everything, and not only just business, personal development, it's great for, you can eat healthy here. It's great for working out, just,
because you're a super fit guy. What is your diet like here in Chiang Mai?
It's been pretty good, yeah. When I first got here, it sort of went off track a bit, but I managed to get it back on track. I eat fairly paleo most of the time, so cutting down on carbs.
So a lot of people complain that Chiang Mai or Thailand is all rice, noodles, and carbs.
Yeah.
How do you eat paleo while you're out here?
Most dishes I'll just either order like an extra plate of meat and then just ask them to have it without rice. I went to a place for lunch today. It was like this really nice soup with like chicken, veg, and stuff. It was really good, and I just asked to have it without noodles, and it was still a fairly big portion. So, that was 50 baht. So
like £1.
Yeah, £1. Yeah. Cheapest chips, yeah.
Yeah, cheaper than chips. So if you wanted to, you could get 2 or 3 portions of that.
Yeah, I mean, I just had one today because I'd already eaten quite a bit before that. But usually I'll probably get 2, and that's still only £2. So
the healthiest I've ever been was 2 years ago in Chiang Mai, and even then it was hard to eat paleo. This is what so 2 or 3 years ago, whenever I wrote Life Changes Quick, I started eating paleo and I started doing CrossFit, and I had all these excuses why I couldn't eat paleo here, and back then it wasn't even as popular, especially in Thailand. Like, everyone thought you just can't do it, and instead of having that excuse on why I can't do it, I just started thinking of ways I could. And exactly like you, I just would go to just random Thai restaurants and say, can I have the noodle soup without the noodles?
You always get some confused looks but it's usually fine. I mean,
and you just do it, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
And even I actually remember the fittest I was, or at least like the lightest weight I was when I was in Vietnam. But it wasn't that I lost the weight in Vietnam. It's just that I had gotten in shape while I was in Chiang Mai. And then when I went to Vietnam, I was still in shape, so I was kind of just maintaining it.
Yeah.
But I remember specifically ordering pho without the pho. So it's like I would go into restaurants and say, "Can I have the beef noodle soup, but no noodles?" And they would look at me like I was crazy.
Just like beef and water.
Yeah, beef and soup, right? And I'll put some bean sprouts in there or something.
Yeah.
But it was my dedication of just staying on that diet that kept me super fit. And these last 4 months being in Europe and being on a cruise ship, I gained so much weight, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
Must be tough having I guess it's all inclusive, so it's hard to refrain when it's all there.
Yeah, it's like eating at a buffet 5 times a day. There's nothing else to do on the ship, so you're just gorging. You're with family and they're trying to feed you the whole time.
Yeah.
And then you're in Italy, so you're eating pizza and pasta and gelato.
Yeah.
But since I've been back, I have not had rice or noodles or anything that was not paleo. Yeah.
Smashing it.
So I'm back on it, man.
Cool, man.
Back on it.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I really think that ironically, Chiang Mai is one of the easier places to eat paleo, even though none of the restaurants support it.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think that's definitely a way. So, if they started out a paleo restaurant here that was specific, did specific paleo meals, I mean, I think that there must be a huge community of people that would be raving for it,
Well, there's a few more all you can eat salad places now. We can even where our coffee club meetup is now, they have a salad bar and you can get a chicken breast for $5. So I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start going there.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why it's easier to stay healthy here, even though there's no restaurants to support it, is because number one, we have no other responsibilities. When we're here in Chiang Mai versus when you're back in London, even though you were living with your mom, do you feel like you had more day-to-day responsibilities or stress there?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's just so much more to so much more legwork, like so many more things you have to fit into the day, It's like muting, even little things like going to like top up, your Oyster card with like, your transport card. And then, it's just so much more headache, to be honest. And
it's weird because when I'm here, I literally have zero responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like if I don't want to do something, I just don't do it.
Yeah.
And everything's fine.
Yeah.
I wonder if is it the mindset we have while we're here, or is it that when we're back home, like we just are forced to do stuff?
I guess we're kind of forced to do stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's just so much more you have to do to just sort of live that baseline lifestyle, I think. Yeah.
So I think it's that we just have so much free time, no responsibility. But I also think because restaurants are so cheap that you're like, yeah, I'll order 3 dishes and just cut out half of it. And I don't care what it costs. Just I just want it.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, cooking's definitely a big one. Like I used to, even in London, I used to go to supermarkets and, trying to think how you can best, buy stuff for your diet. And then you also got to factor in costs, if you're not earning much, it's not only.
Yeah, like you can't afford to buy 2 or 3 meals in London. Like, oh yeah, just throw away the noodles.
Yeah.
Or don't give me the bread, or
You'd be
don't give me the
asking
rice.
for like a doggy bag to take that home.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So glad you are doing well in Chiang Mai. I'm glad you're doing well with your business. I think you should really pat yourself on the back for that.
Yes, thanks a lot. And I want to thank you for your podcast. And I think it's a great inspiration for people trying to get started online.
I appreciate that. And if you guys are listening, the best thing you guys can do is become successful yourself. That way I have more podcast guests in the future. And if anything, it's been so much easier to find great guests now that I've been back in Chiang Mai than it has been even in Europe, which you would think would be this, this mecca of entrepreneurship. But it's a good life here.
Yeah.
I'm happy we're here.
It'd be interesting to see how it develops in Europe in the next, say, 10 years. I mean, even I think there are just more people that are, there are more remote jobs that are becoming available at the moment. So not necessarily people who are bootstrapping, businesses, but just people who are, working remotely.
Well, we're going to see what happens. Until then, thank you guys for listening. Appreciate all the reviews you guys have been leaving on the iTunes store. If people want to get in touch with you, Freddie, are you on like Instagram or Twitter or anything like that?
Kind of like a granddad when it comes to social media. I'm not really too big on it, but I haven't got a blog or anything. So if you want to ask questions or anything, you can find me on Facebook. It's Freddie, that's DDIE, Trimble, TRIMBLE, and yeah. Okay,
cool. I'll have a link to that in the show notes, or you guys can come out to Pun Space in Chiang Mai.
Yeah, either way.
He's the guy that's always in a singlet with the backwards baseball cap. All right, guys. See you next week. All right, big shout out to Lauder, 1986 from Australia, the must-listen to podcast, calling all entrepreneurs, travelers, investors, and digital nomads. If there's one podcast you listen to during your daily traffic jam to work, this is the one. Another reviewer from Australia, Armit Atwal. Thanks, Johnny. I was a drifting leaf on the internet as I wanted to make more money online, and I came upon your episode with an Australian couple who's doing well with their store, and they explained how it is good to take a course while they try to figure it out on your own. And then I listened to all your episodes from 1 to 124 and looking for many more. We also have Dice Leon from Canada. Still catching up. I'm an honest rater. Let's keep this short. Besides the poor variations in audio quality, I love this podcast. Sorry about that, guys. Inspiring and definitely frustrating because I'm stuck in the 9 to 5 right now trying to figure it all out. Please maintain a good audio volumes, often it's low. Sorry about that. Hopefully now it's going to get better with Anthony on this full time. And then we have Spam e-commerce, United States. These podcasts are both inspirational and highly practical. If you want to travel the world and learn to run your own business, listen to all the episodes starting from the beginning. You'll be glad you did. Thank you everyone for leaving all these great 5-star reviews in the iTunes store. I know it's a bit of a pain in the butt, but if you're on an iPhone, click on the cover art a few times and hopefully it can bring you to a rating. If not, go to your iTunes app on your Mac or PC and search for Travel Like a Boss podcast, click review, and hopefully you can get to the screen where you can add yourself a review and hopefully be featured on the show. See you guys all next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus, How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.